The morning sky over Colorado Springs had been clear and peaceful until the shadows began to fall. Jenna Hayes stood on the observation deck of the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, her auburn hair catching the last rays of unfiltered sunlight as massive alien vessels descended through Earth's atmosphere. The ships were unlike anything humanity had ever imagined, their crystalline hulls refracting light into prismatic rainbows that would have been beautiful under different circumstances. "My God," whispered Damian Cross, moving to stand beside her. His hand found hers naturally, their fingers intertwining as they had countless times over the past 3 years. The size of them. Jenna squeezed his hand, drawing strength from his presence. As Earth's civilian defense coordinator, she had spent the last decade preparing for this possibility. But nothing could have readied her for the reality. The lead ship alone stretched nearly 10 kilometers across, its surface smooth as glass yet somehow radiating an aura of absolute menace. "How many?" she asked, though part of her didn't want to know the answer. Damian's blue eyes were already calculating, his physicist's mind automatically cataloging the data streaming across the screens around them. Initial count shows 47 major vessels with what looks like hundreds of smaller craft in escort formation. Conservative estimate puts their total force at over 2 million individual units. Behind them, the command center buzzed with controlled chaos. General Victoria Stone's voice cut through the noise like a blade, issuing orders with the calm precision that had made her Earth's premier military strategist. "All defensive positions report status. Civilian evacuation protocols are now in effect for major population centers. And someone get me a direct line to President Martinez." Jenna turned from the window, her engineer's mind already shifting into operational mode. 3 years of planning, of secret preparations, of late nights spent with Damian perfecting systems that most people believed were pure science fiction. Now those preparations would be tested against an enemy that had conquered entire star systems. "General Stone," Jenna called out, approaching the central command station. "Damian's quantum entanglement network is fully operational. We can coordinate instantaneous communication across all defense nodes without risk of interception." The Maker. General's steel-gray eyes met hers with something approaching relief. Victoria Stone had been skeptical when Jenna first proposed integrating civilian engineering projects with military defense systems, but 3 years of working together had built an unshakable trust. "How long until we can establish a complete, tactical overview?" "Give me 20 minutes, Damian answered, already moving toward his specialized console. The quantum field generators hummed to life around him, creating an almost musical resonance that Jenna found oddly comforting. She had fallen in love with both the man and his brilliant mind, and watching him work never failed to fill her with pride and desire. As Damian's fingers danced across holographic interfaces, Jenna coordinated with defense stations worldwide. Her own creation, a distributed network of concealed electromagnetic pulse generators, lay dormant beneath major cities and strategic locations. Unlike traditional weapons, these systems were designed for precision disruption rather than destruction. The alien ships might be technologically superior, but they still relied on the same fundamental principles of electronics and energy flow that governed all advanced technology. "Incoming transmission," announced Lieutenant Brooks from the communications station. It's from them, the aliens. They're broadcasting on all frequencies." The main screen flickered to life, revealing a being that was both magnificent and terrifying. Overlord Kethavar stood nearly 3 meters tall, his crystalline exoskeleton catching and amplifying the light around him. When he spoke, his voice resonated with harmonics that seemed to vibrate through the very air. "Inhabitants of the third planet," Kethavar began, his tone carrying the casual dismissal of absolute authority. "I am Overlord Kethavar of the Nexari Empire. Your world has been selected for incorporation into our dominion. You have achieved a level of technological development that makes you suitable for labor and resource extraction." Jenna felt Damian move closer to her, his presence a warm anchor in the face of this alien arrogance. Around them, the command center had fallen silent, every person focused on the screen with a mixture of fear and rising anger. "Your resistance capabilities have been analyzed and found negligible," the Overlord continued. Your orbital defenses are primitive, your military force is scattered and uncoordinated. In accordance with Nexari protocol, you are granted 24 of your local time units to formally surrender. Failure to comply will result in the systematic elimination of your major population centers, followed by the subjugation of survivors. The Mai Yao transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Then General Stone's voice cut through the quiet like a whip crack. Analysis. Now, what are we dealing with? Captain Rodriguez spoke first from the tactical station. Their ships show no obvious weapon ports, but energy readings suggest they're carrying enough firepower to glass continents. Shield technology appears to be some kind of energy manipulation rather than physical barriers. Communication intercepts indicate a hierarchical command structure, added Lieutenant Brooks. Standard Imperial conquest model. They've done this before, probably many times. Jenna found her voice, surprised by how steady it sounded. They're confident, arrogant, that gives us an advantage. Against that? Captain Rodriguez gestured toward the tactical display showing the alien fleet. Jenna, I respect your optimism, but we're looking at a force that could probably take out our entire defense grid before we could mount a meaningful response. That's exactly what they expect us to think, Damien interjected, looking up from his console. But they've made a critical error in their analysis. They're measuring us by their own standards, assuming we'll fight the same way they would. General Stone leaned forward, her eyes sharp with interest. Explain. Jenna moved to the central display, her hands dancing over the controls to bring up a three-dimensional map of Earth's hidden defense network. They're right about our conventional forces being outmatched, but they're wrong about our capabilities. For 3 years, we've been building something they won't expect because it doesn't fit their model of warfare. The display showed thousands of interconnected nodes spread across the globe, a web of concealed technology that pulsed with quiet readiness. They see scattered military units and primitive orbital platforms. They don't see the quantum communication network that lets us coordinate instantly across the entire planet. They don't see the EMP generators that can create targeted electromagnetic storms. They don't see the cyber warfare systems designed to infiltrate and subvert their own technology. Most importantly, Damien added, his voice carrying a note of fierce pride as he looked at Jenna, they don't understand what humans are capable of when we're fighting for everything we love. General Stone studied the display for a long moment, then straightened with the bearing of a career soldier accepting an impossible mission. What do you need from me? Time, Jenna answered. And trust. Let them think we're paralyzed by fear. Let them believe their show of force has broken our will. While they wait for our surrender, we'll be preparing something they've never encountered before. Outside the mountain, the alien fleet continued its lazy orbit, their confidence absolute. Inside the command center, 2 lovers and a general began, planning humanity's most audacious gamble. In 18 hours, the Nexari Empire would learn that they had chosen the wrong species to underestimate. The quantum generators hummed their electronic lullaby, and Jenna Hayes smiled for the first time since the ships had arrived. Humanity's greatest strength had never been superior technology or overwhelming force. It had always been the ability to adapt, to innovate, and to fight with the desperate courage of those who had everything to lose. The invaders had given them one chance to leave. Instead, they had chosen their own annihilation. 18 hours had passed since the ultimatum, and the Nexari fleet maintained their arrogant vigil above Earth. Overlord Kethvar stood in his crystalline command chamber, watching the primitive planet below with the satisfaction of a predator observing cornered prey. His tactical display showed no military mobilization, no desperate evacuation attempts, no signs of the panic he had expected. Still no response from the surface overlord, reported Captain Zara Lynn, her own crystalline features reflecting concern rather than confidence. Their communication networks remain active, but we're detecting no coordinated military response. Kethvar's laugh resonated through the chamber like breaking glass. Of course not. They understand their position. When the deadline expires in 6 hours, we'll receive their formal surrender, and another world will join the Empire with minimal effort. Deep beneath Cheyenne Mountain, Jenna Hayes moved through the command center with the fluid grace of someone operating at peak efficiency. Her auburn hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her green eyes held the focused intensity of an engineer solving the most complex problem of her career. Around her, dozens of technicians worked at stations, displaying data streams that would have seemed like magic to previous generations. "Damien, how's the quantum entanglement holding?" She called across the room to where her partner stood surrounded by holographic displays that pulsed with exotic energy patterns. "Rock solid," he replied, his blue eyes never leaving his readings. "Every defense node is locked in perfect synchronization. When we activate, the response time will be instantaneous across the entire network." General Stone approached them, her expression grim but determined. "Final systems check complete. Every hidden installation reports ready. The question remains whether this will be enough." Jenna turned to face the general, and for a moment the weight of their impossible situation showed in her eyes. Then she straightened, and when she spoke, her voice carried the unshakable conviction of someone fighting for everything she held dear. "It has to be enough. We're not just fighting for survival, Victoria. We're fighting for the right to exist as free beings, to love who we choose, to dream of futures they want to steal from us." Her hand found Damien's, their fingers interlacing with practiced ease. "That's something they can't understand, and it's going to destroy them." Above Earth's atmosphere, the Nexari fleet began their descent toward major population centers. Kethvar had grown tired of waiting for a surrender that seemed unlikely to come. If these humans required a demonstration of power to understand their situation, he would provide one. The first target would be the large city called New York, followed by similar strikes across the planet until compliance was achieved. "Begin primary assault formation," he commanded. "Target the population center designated as Priority 1. Full power demonstration should be sufficient to break their remaining resistance." The massive crystalline ships moved with predatory grace, their weapon systems beginning to charge with energies that could reduce continents to ash. Energy readings spiked across their tactical displays as the fleet prepared to deliver humanity's death sentence. In the command center, alarms began to sound as orbital sensors detected the alien movement. "They're moving into attack formation," Captain Rodriguez reported, his voice tight with controlled fear. "Target appears to be New York City. Estimated time to firing range 12 minutes. Jenna felt Damien's hand tighten around hers, and she drew strength from the contact. This was the moment they had prepared for, planned for, dreaded and anticipated in equal measure. "All stations prepare for Operation Prometheus. Authorization code Sierra 77 Alpha." Across the globe, hidden installations that had masqueraded as everything from cellular towers to research facilities began to hum with barely contained power. The quantum entanglement network Damien had perfected allowed for instantaneous coordination on a scale never before achieved in human history. Every defensive node, every concealed weapon, every carefully placed system activated as one unified organism. "Quantum field generators at full power," Damien reported, his fingers dancing across controls that manipulated the fundamental forces of reality. "Entanglement locks confirmed across all 7,000 nodes. We are weapons-free," General Stone's voice carried across the command center with military precision. "Execute Operation Prometheus. Show them what humanity is capable of." The response began not with explosions or visible displays of force, but with something far more devastating to a technologically advanced civilization: the systematic failure of every electronic system they possessed. Jenna's electromagnetic pulse generators, carefully tuned and precisely positioned, created localized storms of interference that passed through the aliens' shields as if they didn't exist. Aboard the Nexari flagship, Captain Zaralyn watched, in growing horror as her tactical displays began to flicker and fail. "Overlord, we're experiencing system malfunctions across the entire fleet. Navigation, communications, weapon targeting, everything is being affected simultaneously." "Impossible," Kethvar snarled, but even as he spoke, the lights in his command chamber began to dim. "Their technology is primitive. They have no capability to affect our systems." On Earth's surface, Damien's quantum computers were performing calculations at speeds that defied conventional physics, analyzing the electromagnetic signatures of every alien ship and feeding targeting data to specialized cyber warfare systems. These weren't the crude hacking attempts the Nexari might have expected, but something far more sophisticated: direct manipulation of quantum fields that made their advanced technology possible. "Their shield generators are offline," reported Lieutenant Brooks, wonder creeping into her voice. "Propulsion systems are failing across their entire fleet. They're completely dead in space." But Jenna wasn't finished. As the alien ships drifted helplessly in Earth's gravity well, hidden installations across the planet began the second phase of humanity's response. Not destruction, but something that struck at the very heart of the Nexari Empire's arrogance. Complete technological superiority turned against them. "Damien, initiate Phase 2, she commanded, her voice carrying both love and fierce determination. The quantum entanglement network that had been designed for defense now became the delivery system for humanity's most audacious gamble. Every alien ship found its computer systems infiltrated, not by external attack, but by quantum manipulation that rewrote their basic programming at the subatomic level. Within minutes, the mighty Nexari fleet was under complete human control. Aboard, the flagship Kethavar watched in stunned disbelief as his own ship began broadcasting a message he had not authorized. The transmission went out on all frequencies, reaching not just Earth but every Nexari installation within 50 light years. "This is Earth." The message began in perfect Nexari language, though it carried unmistakably human inflection. "We received your ultimatum. Here is our response. Leave. Now. And tell your empire that humanity is not interested in joining your collection of conquered worlds." The message continued, but now it carried technical specifications that made every Nexari commander who received it freeze in recognition. Detailed schematics of their most advanced technology, complete understanding of their military capabilities, and most terrifying of all, evidence that humans had not just defeated them, but had done so while holding back their true capabilities. Furthermore, the message concluded, "We are uploading a complete analysis of your technology to every major power in this galaxy. Your technological advantages are now nullified. Your empire's expansion ends here." In the command center, Jenna watched the final phase of their operation unfold with satisfaction that was both professional and deeply personal. The alien fleet was being systematically powered down, their crews unharmed, but completely helpless. Transport systems would deliver them to a safe distance from Earth, where they could contemplate their defeat and carry word of humanity's capabilities back to their empire. "It's over," Damien said softly, his arm sliding around Jenna's waist, as they watched the tactical display. "They're withdrawing." General Stone approached them, her expression mixing relief with something approaching awe. "In 30 years of military service, I've never seen anything like what you two accomplished here. You didn't just defend Earth, you may have changed the balance of power in this entire region of space." Jenna leaned into Damien's embrace, finally, allowing herself to feel the full emotional weight of what they had accomplished. They had saved not just their world, but their future together. The love that had sustained them through years of preparation and hours of desperate action had proven stronger than the arrogance of an empire. "They gave us one chance to leave," she murmured against Damien's chest, feeling his heartbeat steady and strong beneath her cheek. "Instead, they chose their own annihilation. Not through destruction, but through the realization that they had encountered something they could never understand or conquer." Above them, the last of the Nexari ships disappeared into hyperspace, carrying with them the knowledge that humanity was not just another primitive world to be conquered, but a species that would defend itself with ingenuity, determination, and the unbreakable bonds of love that made them stronger than any empire. The stars belonged to those brave enough to reach for them, and Earth had just announced its intention to do exactly that.